Hey guys, welcome back to That's So Akiba podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have my dear friend Lex here, CEO of NEON16, but most importantly, one of the most inspiring humans that I know. Welcome back. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, wherever you choose to listen or watch. Thank you so much. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You know me, and you know, like, first I run with heart, right?
Yeah.
And for me, you are just one of the most inspiring people in the industry, not because of what you do, but because of who you are.
Oh, thank you.
One day we just had a meeting in here and you just came to talk with me. Like, you're busy. Like, we're all busy, right? But you're busy. Like, you know what I mean? And for you to come and take the time to talk to me is just so big. That's what changes lives. You know what I mean? So you changed my life in that. So not only is Lex, you know, of course, an award-winning producer, you are the CEO of NEON16, but you are also a girl dad.
Yes.
You are also an amazing human.
Thank you.
With an amazing story. And for me, I always say your struggle is your superpower.
Yeah.
But your struggle is also your biggest triumph. And for me, that's you. That's your story. So
Thank
I want to
you.
know you.
Well, I'm a human.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you would have asked me that question, 2 years ago, I would have put out the Rolodex and say all the things you just said. Like, here's what I've done. I'm a manager of this. I do this. I'm a TV producer. I'm blah, 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 blah. And I realized that what I am is a soul searching for answers and a human in transition. And I've truly have learned to, I've truly began to understand the true purpose of this place and the lessons that is here to teach you. And, I say that in our business, we create these characters in order to protect ourselves. So Lex is very much the character in order to protect that. But I'm really Alejandro,
Wow.
and that's the inner child creative who, who really just dreamed about helping people and who loves a challenge, who loves when something feels like it's stuck or there's a problem or there's an issue, like the ability to see through that and have the opportunity to be creative enough to see a vision for it and then disciplined enough to execute a vision behind that. That's been the key to my success and the triumphs that I have and the things that people praise. It's really just been led by humanity, led by my need and desire to want to help someone, and led by the fact that I feel that I have a gift to see a problem, see the vision for it, and then actually have the power to execute it and the discipline to execute
I
it.
want to touch on that because that's so big. I feel like so many people have ideas. Of course, everyone has ideas, but it's about executing it. I think me and you are really good in that when like you just go for it. But what makes you like tick? What is that switch that sets you off and, differentiates you from everyone else where it's like, okay, I have a vision, but I'm going to make it come to life?
I go through my Rain Man moment, right? Like I see the issue, I see the problem, and all of a sudden I start thinking of the what if. And I always say to everyone, everything's impossible until it's not. Everybody likes to put blocks because it's easier to not speak good about ourselves. It's easier to say, oh, I can't make it, or that's hard, or that's impossible, I'm going through this. And if you notice, we love to, as humans, the human condition is we love to inspire our friends. And we tell, come here, oh, you look amazing, you look so beautiful. Oh, that's incredible what you did. You're an awesome person. Then when everybody leaves and you're in the mirror, you're like, I look fat.
Wow.
Oh, like, man, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Oh, man, today I had such a tough day. And we speak to
God,
ourselves
I'm
in
so
that way.
guilty of all of this.
Yeah, I think all of us are, right?
Wow.
That's the human condition.
Yes.
Because it's easier to do something for someone else. It's easier to judge someone else than having to look in the mirror. It's harder to do that. I was watching a video about the Navy SEALs the other day, and they said, like, we've seen people come in here who are muscle guys, who are college athletes, who, are big ego people, and they think they're going to make it. And those are not the guys that make it. The guys that make it are the guys that are mentally...
I just saw this video.
Yeah, you saw it too? That are mentally strong.
Yes.
And that, they could be skinny, But when the moment comes that the breaking point of the mind, they just have that, they help others. They have an ability to understand that, you know, in order to truly be the best version of yourself, you have to look inside.
That's right.
Like looking outside is the world's excuse to why things are impossible. And you're always going to get critiqued when you're doing something that seems impossible to the rest of the world, because it's easier for them to critique you, to hide their fears, than to join you and face their fears.
Oh my God. It's like what I, tell my students, the bullies are who you have to be nicest to. They're the ones that need the most love. They're the ones going through the most struggles. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of a testament to that. So, okay, you as an entrepreneur, as a girl dad, I said, you're a dad now. It's a lot, comes a lot with a lot of responsibilities. How do you take care of yourself? Routine or anything like that?
So, again, 2 years ago, you would have asked me this. I said, oh, not really much. I don't sleep a lot. I work. Now, to me, it's really, it starts with the mental part. So I speak kindly to myself.
How?
That's every single day. I say, everything's okay. I don't need my circumstances to change to be okay. I'm okay. You don't need fame or success or money to be okay. Just change your perspective. So I've learned to catch myself when my body goes into contraction to speak kindly to myself. So if I'm at work and I am all of a sudden stressed out and somebody called me and I see the tension, my face goes like this. I feel my body in contraction. I stop. So let the world fall. I don't care.
Wow.
I come
Why
first.
do you do that?
Because I come first.
Right.
And because anytime I am acting in fear, anytime I'm acting, and that's where it comes, right? It's like, it's all based in fear.
Correct. It's coming from a lack.
It's coming from, if I don't answer these 10,000 emails by the end of tonight, something's going to fall apart. That's fear.
That's fear.
And so anytime I'm acting in fear, I'm trying to take control of the wheel.
That's right.
And I've realized we don't control anything. The universe is in divine order. The moment that you try to take control of it, it seems like you get to your destination, but you get to your destination, not the universe destination. And the universe destination is the one that makes the miraculous opportunities that a big artist walks by and says, oh my God, I want you to come into my life and blah, 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 and style me, or these massive opportunities that allow you to change your reality come when you let go of the wheel. That's like for you and I to meet, that wasn't me taking the wheel and like, let's just go. It's just like 1,001 things have to be correctly set for you and I to be able to have this conversation.
That's right.
And the more that I've understood that, the more that I've realized that I have to let go. So when I'm in contraction and my body enters fear, my body enters stress, I know I'm trying to take control and I'm afraid. And so that's an illusion I'm telling myself. It's a story I'm telling myself. So I stop.
Do you feel like now that you've learned this, because you've done it the other route, right? We all have. In order to make it, it's almost like we're trying to control, right? But also trying to like struggle to make it our superpower. Like I like what I said before, like lack mindset. But do you feel like you're still getting your stuff done when you don't act?
Yeah, because it's a story we told ourselves that we need to be in fear and stress and in control in order to win in life.
And you don't feel we do anymore.
No. And I tell people are like, oh, well, that's easy for you to say because you're super successful.
Correct.
Well, it took me reaching every single one of my dreams to understand that it doesn't provide happiness. It took me reaching all my dreams and killing myself and making myself sick in order to understand that there's no need to suffer.
God.
That the idea that we have to suffer to be successful, it's a wrong condition. It's a wrong human condition.
Wow.
And so I appreciate that I got here because it allowed me to understand that this is the answer I want to choose.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is if I wouldn't have been successful and I'm feeling the things I'm feeling, I would say, oh, maybe I'm saying that because I haven't achieved success.
That's right.
And everybody around me is achieving success by doing this way. So I definitely have it wrong. But when you achieve success and you've done it the other way and you've been suffering the whole way up, right? You've been stressful the whole way up. You've been getting your body sick the whole way up. You then come and have cars and jewelry and women and success and acclaim. And you're like, wait, but it's not enough.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild that when you have everything, all the money, all the things, you want to go back to being simple?
Yeah. Because you realize it's all that matters. Because you realize that every watch that you get, every piece of jewelry that you get, every piece of clothing that you get, every success that you get, there'll be something else you'll want. And so you start asking yourself, when is it enough?
I tell my fiance all the time because he's like, oh, I want this better car. And I'm like, all right, but we could be more humble right now. You know what I mean? And I say that because when my dad passed away, my dad only had 2 pieces of jewelry, his wedding ring and his Cartier watch that he loved. It was just 2 things. And he didn't leave with those things. We buried him in a sheet in Israel, in the ground, nothing else. You don't put a coffin in Israel. You get buried in the dirt, so you become one with the earth, which is really beautiful.
Wow.
And then is when my mindset shifted. I'm in wardrobe. Like this all fluff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I get home, I take all off, I'm naked as like I love, like I'm like living my best life when I have nothing, you know? And it's such a reminder that like all of this stuff is extra, right? Like you don't bring this stuff with you.
I was reading a book and the author described this as it's a costume. And he said, if you can start living your life the way that an actor does, right? And an actor understands they're going into a role, knowing that they're not the role. And the thing about life is that the daily routine of life is a role, right? Like I said, we're so used to saying, hi, Sarah, I'm Lex Borrero. I'm the manager of so-and-so. That's a role.
Right.
That's not who I am.
Yes.
That's not the essence of who I am. That's not the energy internally. That's not like, you didn't even have enough power to pick how you were created.
My God. That's
Think about
so good.
that.
Wow. So
you
good.
are a miracle from the start.
Yeah.
Life is a gift. The things we live through are a gift. How many people do we know who work as hard as they are, who are talented as we are, who don't have the success that we have, who don't have the opportunities that we have? That shows you that these are not earned things. They're gifts. Now, what I've learned through that process, because people will be like, oh, you know, and I like to always challenge my own theories on these things, right? So you'll say, well, no, I worked my ass off and I was disciplined and I did all these extra things that nobody did. So when everybody was sleeping, I was working, and that's why I'm really successful, because I did the Kobe Bryant thing. I was shooting in the gym alone at 6 a.m. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've learned that your main job is to be still enough to listen to the universe. And then when you listen, be courageous enough to act. So you still need the courage, the discipline, the things to get to the success of life. But in order to understand where you are going, you need to understand you're not in control. And in doing that, then you allow yourself the opportunity to be incredible at something. Athletes at the level of Kobe, Tom Brady, Lewis Hamilton, what they have over every other athlete is not just given talent, it's mental strength. Because when you're beating Tom Brady in the fourth quarter and everybody else is stressed out, he is completely at the state where he's like, I'm going to beat you at what I do better than you. Because he understands that the only thing he controls is his mind and how he perceives the situation. What ends up happening if miraculously the ball bounces off the thing and a helmet of a guy gets it? He can't control that.
Right.
He can't control that. He can control that his mind and himself can stay calm, because his perspective of the situation doesn't have to be, that's it, we're lost.
So good.
And that theory for me at this point in my life has been so transformative in the way that I approach my life every single day.
Do you have like other routines like journaling or anything like that you do?
I journal every morning. You know, I think part of understanding your power to manifest things is to be grateful for it, right? It's to understand what you have. And sometimes, you know, we don't appreciate what we have because we're always looking, especially now with Instagram, we're always looking at what everybody else has and what they are giving. And we don't stop and say like, Like today I was coming out and I looked at my view, and I have, you know, an ocean view. And I was like, what a beautiful view. What I'm blessed.
People don't get to ever have this in their entire lives.
You live in a place where people vacation to. Have you thought about like that alone?
Literally, that alone.
It's beautiful. Like you get an opportunity to see the sunrise every morning. There's many people who are living in hospitals of all ages who can't see the sun come up. They're in a room with one curtain on one side and one curtain on the other side, and a machine going ding, ding.
It's literally, you know, I don't know if you know this, but with AWOM, we do a Halloween party for the kids at Joe DiMaggio every year. And we bring Halloween to them because they can't go outside and trick or treat like the rest of the kids. And they're dealing with either cancer or infectious diseases, or they're just there for the night. But it's the reason I did it. I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I think it's a really fun holiday, especially for the kids. So we literally bring Halloween to them. And it's always the parents that end up having a better time than the kids, because kids are resilient. They don't understand fully, you know? But seeing the faces of the parents and just their thank yous to being like, I got to feel like I was outside today from this place, you know? It touches so much on what you're saying.
It's perspective. You give them an opportunity to see the situation from a different perspective for that period of hours. And that changes everything. That's the beautiful power of perspective.
Totally. Guys, I want to take a moment here to pause and tell you about how you can start your own podcast and film here at The Spaces. You can go on bookthespaces.com, hit book now on the podcast room, and you can have a full production just like this one if you choose to. Don't be afraid to contact us via our email or contact page on bookthespaces.com. You can follow us at Book the Spaces. I want to know where Lex came from. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Bogota, Colombia. I want to say my early childhood in Bogota until around 7 years old. Then I moved to Miami. That was a whole experience, coming into Miami as a person who didn't speak English in an era and time where, you know, I went from being in Colombia, a upper middle class wealthy kid, went to a private school, you know, had drivers and nannies and things like that. And both of my parents, you know, were successful, were people of class. And then coming to Miami and moving into like a small apartment, all of us, my mother having to fry food so that my stepdad could go sell it in the airports as like, you know, kind of like a food cart, because it was like one of those igloo carts. It wasn't even like a full real cart. So I would go to school smelling like fried food every day, which is one of my pet peeves now. I really dislike smelling like food. That's like, I will not walk into a house and smell like crazy food. I'm out. Entering middle school and going into ESOL classes and trying to learn the culture. And also the school I went to, Stirrup, was next to Ruben Dario, which was a full middle school. But this middle school, I mean, I would look across the hall and I would see like kids getting bullied. And I'd be like, oh no, that can't be me. And I was at this point, you know, a white kid with super blonde hair. Super curly blonde hair on top of that. And I was like, yeah, this is not going to work for me, because I'm not going through what that is in a year. And I started to make friends with guys that I think would teach me how to protect myself. And they definitely taught me how to be a criminal. There you go. I definitely would go into like the little convenience stores and like jack chips and candy. And then it moved on to Kmart. And actually, I got to send Kmart a check for all those toys I stole. I definitely stole a whole lot of toys.
Kmart, you're getting a check.
Yeah, you got a check coming, a donation coming. And then I didn't have a dream to enter music. I wanted to be an architect. I love design. Also, too, because when we first moved to Miami, the family that was helping us kind of settle in, their daughter was an architect, like a very successful architect. So I would sit there for hours with her at night as she put the models together. And I was just amazed that like I was looking at this, you know, cardboard go from a flat cardboard into a full house. And she would explain to me how the dynamic of the kitchen. And I just loved that. I wanted to be an architect so bad. But I also loved Michael Jordan, and I love Michael Jackson. I love what the influence and the power that they had. And I started to understand American culture. I started to say, okay, these guys, by being different and so much about their ego, because they were so confident who they were, that they started to influence a whole generation. And I was like, okay, that seems really interesting.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, my mother became a Christian pastor. And so I started going to church like consistently. And growing in church, I started to see all these really talented musicians and people. But I always felt like, why is the music so preachy? God and the light in the sky. And like, I'm like, okay, that's one genre of things. But if you're doing hip hop, I'm listening to Biggie, I'm listening to Tupac, I'm listening to Master P, I'm listening, like, what's going on here? You
best
know?
generation ever.
Oh, 100%.
I gotta say, I'm sorry. Like
100%.
Master P, God, so good.
And there was so much good music because it was an era where like there was enough audience that lived that music. Like there was the punk rock kids in my school, there was the hip hop kids, there was the, you know, the Latin guys. Like there was a little bit of everything, and you realize like, oh, it's not just listening to music. Like now, I think people listen to a diverse sound of music and a diverse selection of music, but they don't necessarily live the lifestyle of that diversity. Like they're not, I'm just listening to rock. Like back in the day, it was like you were a punk rocker and all you listened to rock. Now everybody listens to rock, pop, everything together.
Yes.
The hip hop guys, you could tell the hip hop guys from a mile away because they're wearing long white tees,
boxers out. You know what I'm saying? Nautica,
and the Jacob on, and
Fubu.
So Fubu. Oh, I had a lot of Fubu. Oh my God, I love Fubu.
Sean John. Yeah.
Academics, like all that.
Yes.
And so for me, growing up in that is when I started to realize, like, okay, well, there is an opportunity here to make positive music without necessarily having to be so preachy.
Wow.
And I went to all the Christian rappers. No one really believes. Maybe two of them were like, okay, we'll ride with you. And one of them, this guy named Prophecy, I told him, why don't we just create a mixtape and let's just get a bunch of the beats that we could download and from all the hit songs and just rap on top of those beats in a different way. And we put this mixtape out on this company called Crossover Entertainment, which was my goal, crossing over the music. And that was kind of my first taste of like, okay, I can help these people. This thing really worked. We're at churches performing this. I'm on stage performing this, like being the hype man. You know?
Amazing.
Meanwhile, dealing with like the hardships of high school. And the moment I realized that like, I am really good talking to girls more than I am talking to guys. So in high school, I was like, that was my joy. That was my joy is like everybody else is shy. I could talk to any girl.
Yes.
So dealing with all these kind of emotional turmoils, and then I decided I'm going to pursue music, and I moved to New York City. I was homeless in New York City, and started producing music, and finally got my break. And then you know, the rest is history.
It's history. Who are some of the amazing people you've worked with?
Wow, I've had a beautiful opportunity to work. Well, you know, now I currently work with Will Smith, and
by the way, one of my favorite people.
Yes, one of my favorite humans. And I've got to work with Maroon 5, J Balvin, BB Rex, Jay-Z, Kanye, Big Sean.
Amazing.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I was thinking about it yesterday because we were sitting at the BMI Awards, and I was like, wow. Like, if it all ended today, it's been an amazing journey. You know, it's been like...
Do you feel that?
Yeah.
I was thinking that the other day, I feel that from going back to like that stress, like I was like, if it ended today, would I be satisfied? And my answer would be no, because I need to do better for myself, not for other people. I've done it for other people, but I have to be better to myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's an important question to ask yourself.
100%. I ask myself that question daily as I transition myself to the same thing as you, where it's like I've given so much of myself to this business. I've given so much of myself to the clients and the people I have. And I've loved and enjoyed every part of it. Of course. But I'm also at a place in my life where I am looking at the rest of it and the other interests that I have and the other things that excite me. And I'm okay with the evolution that's taking. Where before it was fear, before it was like, well, if I leave the business, will they forget what I've done? Will people act differently? And the answer is for sure yes, because I've seen it happen to other people. But it's no longer an anchor that keeps me in the business. To me, it's like the evolution of creating and being able to evolve that creativity as I also trust in myself. You know, I posted a video the other day. My social team showed me a video clip of myself 14 years ago. And I was like, yo, what's up, man? This is CEO Lex, and I'm going to make you famous. And at that time, I couldn't make anybody famous. I wasn't even famous myself.
Yes.
And I say in that video, man, that kid, like, I'm trying to find that kid. And why I said that was because that kid was just so fearless.
Yeah, man.
He understood that he was the talent. He understood that he was the creative. He understood that he was the guy, and he respected himself. And what happened is, at least in my personal career, once I started to gain success, I had something to lose. And fear kicked in. And my fear was like, well, if I do this for other people, then my excuse can be, if it fails, it wasn't me. My excuse was, I don't have to be the one doing the podcast. It'll be my client. I'll be the one standing back there. And if they fumble the ball, it's not me.
Wow.
And I ran away from the fame, the putting myself out in front. And I said, okay, I'm going to be the guy in the back. And then as my career went through, when things would happen and moments would happen and I would create circumstances and situations, I'd feel uncomfortable with the fact that I'm not being credited for doing things. And I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I'm still getting paid. Like, who cares, you know? And as that has evolved through the years, I realized I'm very much a creative. I'm very much a talent. I'm very much a person who has a lot to give as a human, not just to the other humans. And so I'm happy and thrilled that I'm at a place in my life where I'm letting that flow, where I'm letting that creative, that new, that not being afraid of being the person. I used to get like social anxiety where like I would go to a place and so many people come say hi to me and I'm like, whoa, I can't do this, you know? And honestly, when I shot The Signing for Netflix and the show exploded, having to deal with people knowing me all over the world, because I went on vacation right after that. And it was like in Italy, I was in Capri and a girl came up to me like, oh my God. And she was with her boyfriend. And I was like, she definitely thinks I'm Pitbull. Right? I was like, she thinks I'm Pitbull. Now. She's like, I think she noticed that I was so in shock.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Lex, I know who you are. Can I take a picture with you?
Oh my God.
And I was with my father and I was like, yeah. And for whatever reason, the rest of the night, I couldn't stop thinking about that moment. And more the fear that it gave me, more than the happiness that I gave the girl.
Why
that
do
she
you
got
think?
to. Because of that.
Right.
You know, there's something to lose fear and the like, am I going to be critiqued if I go out?
Right.
And you know, are people going to say at this stage of my life, like, oh, he's trying to be the artist because I was so used to, and people know me for being the manager. So I'm at a stage of my life where that's gone. That fear has like subsided in a way where I can be out here doing it.
How did you get to that place?
The internal work. The moment I was okay to accept that something was wrong and that it was me, it was no one else.
Damn.
And I said, honestly, I had gone through a lot of personal trauma as I found out I'm being a father, as I'm kind of engaging in the relationship with the mom of my daughter. And for me, it was like the breaking of everything I had been taught. My mother taught me, this is what a woman of God looks like. And this is what, and this is how you're supposed to get married. Like, we all have these teachings, right? And because of those teachings, my judgment on the situation was pure judgment. And I understood this is not bringing me happiness. Something has to change in how I'm filtering this information. And that was the first time that I told myself the word filter. And I understood, okay, my filter is my trauma, my teachings, and my fear. And I gave this example on New Year's in a video I posted where I said, I could drink this water and I can love it. You could drink this water and you could dislike it. The water never changed. Just the filter that it went through.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, if I start changing my filter, my reality will change, because the reality is not changing. It's just how I'm perceiving it.
Wow.
And that started to get me into like, when I'm uncomfortable, why am I uncomfortable? When something feels hard, why am I so accustomed to trying to run away from it? And it's when I also had the kind of eye-opening of, oh my God, we've been conditioned to look at the light for the light at the end of the tunnel. We've been conditioned to run away from something that feels hard. We've been conditioned to not look internally because it's a lot easier to look externally.
That's right.
And I was like, but out of every person I've ever been with in my life, every woman, the universe chose this woman to give her my daughter. I am going to lean into that because my lesson in life is in her. And the moment that I leaned in, our relationship transformed. The moment that I said, okay, I am feeling uncomfortable because of this fear of putting myself out there. So I'm going to lean in. And then my reality changed. Wow. Like every part of my business, you know, like I came into the business being like this creative, and all of a sudden I have 40 people and I'm, you know, a multi-million-dollar corporation. Oh, I have to lean into being a CEO now. I have to lean into being okay to say to someone, I'm sorry, you're not doing a good job, you're fired. Like that was a huge stigma for me. Like, oh my God, we're family, we're this. And it's like, no, we're a sports team. You know, I'm going to change that.
Literally my next questions for you is work-wise.
And as I leaned in, my reality started changing, and I started to transform my perspective. And I started to now I always say real versus reality. So anytime something comes in, any kind of information, I'm like, is it my perspective or is this the truth? Wow. And I question myself because my mind has failed me before.
Right.
You know? Right. And that, even I was reading the other day about the same book, which I'm going to gift it to you. It's called The Uncharted Journey. But he categorizes good and bad with love and fear. He said, it shouldn't be called good and bad. It's just love and fear. Wow. It's good if you look at it from a POV of love.
It's so true.
It's always bad because it's your fear judging it from a POV of fear.
Wow.
That's all it is. So everything in your life is just love and fear. So learn to identify what it is. So when it's fear, you can ask yourself why. Like, why am I judging this person? Why am I mad at this person when they're just another human being hurting just like I am, trying to figure it out?
Oh God,
you know?
How you're speaking to me. I'm telling you, because I was dealing with that for a long time. The last 6 months with my brother, just like a rocky situation. And, you know, yesterday was the first time we spoke and really spoke. And I just poured. I was just hysterical crying. And he's like, why are you crying so much? And I'm like, because I'm hurt. You know, like I'm hurt, but this is the love I want. I just wanted you to hear me, you know? Like it makes me emotional because it's like, it's the people you love most that you tend to like, you know, it's just like this, I don't know. I don't even know how to call it. Like, I only know how to say it in French. Like it's a friction, right? Yeah. It's a friction. And it's just this like, you know, this constant internal battle with yourself. Like you know, we're going to talk about your podcast because I want to hear like you versus you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like you say, like everyone else is just in pain too. They're just humans too. They're just trying to be better too. They're just going through their own shit too. You know what I mean? And like forgiveness. But I want to go back to you being a dad. How's you being a dad?
Loving it. You know, there's as a father, at first, you love the fact that you've created a beautiful human. But the first year is it's very much the mother's child, right? Like, yes. You are there as a support system.
Correct.
The moment the kid starts walking and understanding that you're dad and start coming towards you, that moment is when you start saying, I'm a dad. Wow. So the other day, the mom was trying to put her to sleep in her bed. Her name is Victoria. Victoria then leaves to go do something in our room. And Jade gets up. She was waiting for mom to leave to be like this. Gets up, runs out of her room, secretly, like I'm in the theater of our house. She comes and like, please. She sits on top of me. And I'm thinking, oh, she just doesn't want to go to sleep. She wants to play. Right. No, she lays her head in my chest and knocks out.
Wow.
And that was the moment I was like, oh, yes. I love this.
Oh, my God.
And every morning, because she sleeps in her bed. Like we got her, she's only 2 years old. She sleeps in her bed.
Amazing.
And we have a camera in the living room. And she like pops out of her bed. Like you see her, because we have cameras in her room too. She like pops out of her bed, runs to our room, slaps the door, climbs in the bed at 7 a.m, goes, grabs me and goes to sleep. And I'm like, I love that. You know, at first I was like, I'm trying to sleep. But then I was like, this is awesome. Or
it's a blessing.
She'll get down before she gets on the bed and she'll go to my night table because I always have a water bottle. And she'll grab the water bottle and she'll put it in my face.
No.
Wah, wah, wah. Stop. Until I open it and give her water. Then she climbs up and then goes to sleep.
Wow.
So I love that. And for me, seeing her develop has taught me that is the beauty of life. Going back to that inner child, because they don't know They don't care that they're getting dirty when they're eating. They don't care. They take all the information as like everything is possible. She gets up on a couch. She doesn't know fear yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so for her, everything is just a desire, a want, and this is what I want to do, and I want to do it my way.
Yes.
Because she hasn't, like, now she's starting to say, "Oh, okay, mom said no to that." And one of the things I've tried to do with her, especially when she's trying to like struggle in something, like the other day she was struggling in her ball pit and she like wanted to go out, and you know your instinct as a parent is like, let me go get her out,
right.
And I was like, no. So like just let her go through the frustration and figure it out. And she like was going through frustration. She's like, and then finally she's like, bump this. She pushed herself back so hard she like got herself out, and then she didn't even cry. I
love that.
And I was like, wow, even as a parent, as you're learning, you're like, wow, we're so used to babying everything, or, you know, ourselves, our friends, our, you know, that we don't allow our brain to allow us to get out of the bullpen. And it has the capability. She's only 2 years old. So imagine our brain with all the knowledge and wisdom. But I've loved the experience of being a father because I've gotten to see all the things that I'm putting into practice in my own life in her, and seeing her intake it without the fear, without the consciousness of this is right, this is wrong, I look bad, I look ugly, I look fat, nothing. She's just living. She's free.
Living. She's free.
She is living.
And
I love
she's
that.
safe. Like you guys give her a safe space. You know what I'm saying? And she gets to be free. Yeah. You know? That's such a beautiful thing. There was something I really wanted to touch on before we close this beautiful conversation up. And it's almost a selfish question, and it's for growth, right? My hardest thing as, you know, a business owner and as someone who wants to grow as a leader is employees. And I wanted to get your take on this of how you choose who you surround yourself with at work. What does that process look like for you?
So it's really interesting because when I started, my heart was around, I see people with potential. I want to help them grow. That was my first part of heart, right? Like, yes. So I saw somebody with an opportunity. I know I can help them. I'll be around them. I will, you know, bring them on and get. As you develop as a CEO and as an executive, you start understanding, okay, the strong part of a team is someone who understands what they do and how they do it really well, and who has emotional stability in order to flow in the energy of what the team is doing. Because what I ended up, I've gone through every stage. I've gone through like having a bunch of these people that I've brought up and like, I'm going to believe in them. Everything's on this. And then what happened is as they start having holes in their job that they can't do, then it was just, oh, bring someone else and bring someone else. And before you know, you have 100 people. That's right. And the A players start playing like B players because now you brought in a B player to supposedly help them, but now the B player it has their own mess of their own personalities. So the A player now has to do their job too. And then it started creating this. And so I realized if I'm going after a mission, if I know my North Star, I have to get the people who are the best at what they do. And in doing so, I have to look at, you know, more than even experience is mental strength. Because you hire problem solvers. If you don't hire problem solvers, you're hiring doers, and then you should pay them as doers. Wow. Very, very different kind of character trait, right? You need someone who understands, I'm going to hit a wall. It's part of it. You cannot cry. You got to learn to sit in the fire. Yes. You got to not be looking for the light out of the tunnel. Yes. You have to be a great player when we're down fourth quarter and we got to win the Super Bowl. I need that mental strength. So I started to really look for people, and even the people that I had mentored, the ones that have succeeded, every single assistant that I have has gone on to do amazing things, gone on to be very, very successful. Because being around me every single day, I'm going to break you. Wow. You are not going to sit here and not be broken. It is the aura of who I am. I am a fire starter. Wow. So I always tell people, even, you know, growing up and even girlfriends or friends, I always say, if you choose to be on my aura, it's because the universe wants to make you grow. Wow. And the universe is going to make you grow by putting you through the fire. So be ready to be put through the fire. It's not going to come out of, and I used to laugh about saying that because I was like, oh, maybe I'm being egotistic. I very quickly realized this is a fact of my life. It is how my aura and energy resonates in people. So in growing my business, I've realized as I've matured that I need to hire the best people who have the mental strength to be able to handle it, who understand the humanity component that we're all hurting people. So in order to lead well, you have to understand people's why. You have to understand why they're waking up and coming to you every day and what their reason for it, what they're trying to be, so that you're also not blindsided. You're not putting all this energy into someone thinking that there's something else and they're not, and then you get disappointed. It's like, no, like you be very clear on what that is. And I always tell my hires, I always say, here's the deal. At the end of us working together, either I'm going to have to pay you whatever you ask me, or someone's going to hire you and you're going to be a boss. And if that's not the result, either you failed me or I failed you.
Wow.
But one of the two is going to happen.
Yes.
Like, so we got to identify when you're failing me, and I got to identify when I'm failing you. And we got to have honest conversations, because what I realize is most people rather quit than have a conversation about how their opportunity can change.
Wow.
Because we've been accustomed, the human conditioning is run for the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Instead of, no, lean in.
Lean in.
If someone makes you uncomfortable, it's because of you, not because of them.
That's right.
The universe is putting them to show you an area of your life that needs work. But in the workplace, people are so quick to be like, oh yeah, the grass is greener over there. I'm quitting.
I'm out. Yeah.
And they'll leave and they'll mess their opportunity. And what they don't understand is that life's going to teach them the same lesson wherever they go, because it's them. It's not. It's not the company. It's not the situation. It's them. You can speak. I tell my employees, speak. Don't tell me you're frustrated. Ask for the help.
Yes.
But if you don't ask for the help and you're too worried and you're too this and then when you're breaking down, take responsibility, because that's on you.
Communication is everything.
Oh, it's everything.
Absolutely. Would you say you're a tough boss?
I say I am a lovingly strict boss.
I like that.
Because I don't rule with fear. I don't rule with my way or the highway. My longest partner, Ivan, who's been with me my whole career, he was an intern for me first. And when I said, hey, that has to be red, he said, hey, I think he was the only person in the whole 5 team members we had who said, it's going to be blue, bro. It should be blue, but I'm going to do red because you're the boss.
Wow.
Until this day, his character trait is, I could do the podcast and I'll see that he leaves the room and he didn't tell me any commentary after. And I know, okay, he must think that what I'm doing is not right. And that's okay, because you need that.
Correct. Yeah,
you
absolutely.
need that person who says, hey, listen, I think that should be more conversational. But I know him so well already, and I don't try to change him. I don't try to make him my guy. I don't get mad. It's like, that is who he is, and that's why he's important in my life.
Accepted him.
But I do think part of this whole thing, even in having an open heart, even in understanding that people are hurting, is you got to have boundaries.
Yes.
This is not a favor. This is a job. The moment I cut you a check for what you're doing, I'm not asking you to do me a favor. I am paying you to do something.
God, that is
and
so
I have to put healthy boundaries, not even for you, but for myself.
Yes.
Because I need to value the dollar I'm giving you.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I can also rage when it's, this is a sacrifice. Like when you're a manager, you're sacrificing understanding that you're not going to get paid for a year. You're going to build somebody else. But you go in there consciously knowing that. And even as a manager, now I've learned to be like, there's boundaries. If you call me at 12 o'clock at night, you're on your own.
That's right.
Like, you're not coming above my peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Like, you're a grown-ass man or woman.
Figure it out.
You know? But before, I was like, 1 o'clock. They're calling. I got to pick up.
Yeah.
So boundaries are important. But yes,
So
I'm a lovingly strict boss.
Love that.
I want excellence. I want people to think bigger. I don't want fear. I don't want fear-based decisions. I don't want people to also not create because of money. It's like create, figure out the money part after, but create. Like,
love that.
Start with the vision.
I love that. Okay. We're going to end on a lighter note. I want to know what you're wearing today. Who dressed you today?
Myself.
Amazing.
Yes.
What are you wearing?
Some, Loewe. I love, so here's the thing. We talked about this last time. I am an all black kind of guy. Like, historically, I just wear black.
I recall this.
Part of my coming out party of like enjoying myself is I'm going to try some color.
I love
it. Loewe,
awesome.
Little Sarah shirt. Actually, these tan boots that I am wearing, they're beat up Coach.
Really?
Boots. Yes. But
Fire.
I found them like 2 years ago.
Wow. And you've been rocking them.
I've been rocking. And that's the thing.
I mean, they're beautiful. You know what? It's not about the brand. I always say that. I mean, I go to Goodwill all the time, baby, and I find my pieces over there. You know?
And then, you know, I've started to explore through a second page, Dial In, started to explore my love for watches, which is, I've always had it.
Amazing.
So now I'm like fully a watch influencer. So, you know, I'm wearing a
Let's see that.
IWC.
What is that?
Engineer, which is a watch designed by Gerald Genta, who designed the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the
I was gonna say that's the vibe I'm getting.
And so you know, that's a little vibes, a little
you look
color
amazing.
Vibes. Thank you,
amazing.
You always look amazing.
Thank you for doing this.
No, thank you
for your time.
Thank you
for your energy as always, and like just being you.
Yeah,
it's just a pleasure.
Hey,
I'm lucky. I get to know you. Yeah.
I'm lucky that I get to know you and I get to share energy with you and I get to see all the things that you're really passionate about. And one of the things that really spoke to me is when we got a chance to go speak at school, I got to see your why. And that's a beautiful thing, you know? So anytime, any place, you got a friend. I'm here for you. You got a friend in me. Hey, I used to. You know? Shout out to John Mayer. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Loved it. Thank you so much for being here. I love having you here. I get to do this with you guys. So continue to tune in and remember to subscribe below.